7 learners. How was your day? I hope that you are all doing fine. Welcome again to our Math 7 o'clock, the official video lesson for our Math 7 class. So once again, this is Teacher Catherine, and I will be your teacher for today's or for this week's lesson. So how was your first week for the first quarter? I hope that you all did well. If that is the case, let us check if you can still remember your lessons last time before we proceed with our lesson for this week. So as a review, a very short review, I have here the next slide. Okay, so as you can see, I have here jumbled letters. So I want you to arrange these jumbled letters, and you will be coming up with a certain word which was discussed last week. Okay, so what is your answer? Let's see. If your answer is statistics, you really listened to our discussion last time. So correct, last week we have discussed statistics. And before we proceed with our lesson proper for the week, which is collection of data, I want you to have, or we will be having, a very short activity. All you have to do is to answer as I drop the question. Are you familiar with the fast talk of Boy Abunda? Okay, of course, we will be having our version for that, okay? So are you ready? Let's start. First, milk or chocolate? Okay. We have modular or face-to-face? Math or English? Cell phone or book? And lastly, cats or dogs? Alright, so I hope that you all have your answers for that. And this is actually, and I am sure that each of you have different answers. So what we actually did with this activity is a part of our lesson for this week, which is collection of data or data gathering. So at the end of this session or of this week, you will be learning on the different data gathering tools and strategies. So, okay, so we have here a picture. I'm sure that you've seen this from our previous lesson. So as we can see here, we have here percentage. We have here the presidential candidates and with the percentage from the survey. Of course, this differs from the actual result of the election held last week. So this data that you can see here is not just a sample, or these data are not written here just because they want to. These data are the results of collected data from different people, and this is actually part of collection of data. So all the data gathered from the previous election, that or what we did during the election, is already part of collection of data. And as we move on to collection of data, I want you to familiarize yourselves with the words population and sample. Okay, so as part of sampling and sampling techniques, or as part of collection of data, we have the words population and sample. So when we say population, it is a set of data that consists of the totality of observations with which we are concerned. So this is the whole population or whole group, the number of the whole group concerned. We are concerned. And we also have the sample. So when we say sample, it is a subset of population, or it is an aggregate or part of the population, and it consists only a part of the set of data in the population. To have a clearer explanation of this, okay, so to have a clearer illustration on the difference of population and sample, we have here a situation. Let me read it to you. For you, a health official wants to test if the water in a well is potable or not, so he takes 1 liter of it for water testing. Which do you think is the population and which is the sample? Okay, correct. So if your answer is that water in a well is the population, you really did a great job. So the water in a well represents the population because it represents the totality of the water. And the sample here is the 1 liter. Okay, so that is just a part of the water in the well. Okay, so just like, for example, the population in Santa Ignacia, the population is the grade 7 students of Santa Ignacia South District. And then let's say, for example, I picked the grade 7 students of Pada National High School. So that is the students of Pada National High School are the sample, and the population is the grade 7 students of all schools in Santa Ignacia South District. Okay, so let us have a quick check or a quick review or assessment of what we have discussed. So we have here, all you have to do is to classify the following as population or sample. Okay, so the first one is all schools in the Philippines. Number 2, selected grade 7 students. Number 3, all owners of bus companies. Number 4, world population. And number 5, monthly food budget of 30 families. Number 1, is it a population or not? If your answer is population, you are correct. Number 2, it is sample because we have the word there, selected, which is already a hint for us that this is a sample. And then number 3, all owners of bus companies. We have here the word all, so that means we are pertaining to population. And the world population, that is considered as population. And the monthly food budget of 30 families, so this is just selected, so it is a sample. Okay, so now that population and sample is now clear to you, we will now be moving on to the different methods on the collection of data. Okay, so for the collection of data, there are several techniques that may be used in gathering statistical data. So the first one is the interview method. So the interview is a person-to-person encounter between the person gathering the data, which is called the interviewer, and the person supplying the data, which is called the interviewee. So the interviewer is actually the one who is asking question, and the one who answers the question is called the interviewee. And with this illustration, as you can see, we have here, these are the illustrations of interview method. This one, the picture here, wherein we have here a lady and a man talking to each other face to face. This is what we call the personal interview. So when we say personal interview, we have the face-to-face question and answer method. So on this picture, on the other hand, we have here a man and a female, and they are actually talking over phone. or in any other online platforms. So this is called the telephone interview, which is common nowadays because of the pandemic. So if we have the telephone interview, question and answer method using mobile or phones. So to those who have, or when you applied on your when you enrolled for grade 7, I am sure that you have this interview, or you already experienced being interviewed. Okay, note that one major advantage of the interview method is that questions can be repeated, rephrased, or modified for better understanding. Another method of collecting data is what we call the questionnaire method. So the questionnaire method, written questions utilized or are utilized to obtain information. These questions are either mailed or hand carried to the respondents. And in these methods, respondents fill time to formulate appropriate answers. Unlike in interview method, the respondents feel pressured for the on-the-spot answers. So here, the students, an example of questionnaire method is that the students are asked to answer the evaluation form to rate their teachers in different criteria. Or let's say, for example, if you are going to assess your modules at hand, so that teachers will be providing questionnaire method. We also have the observation method. So the data gathered either individually or collectively by direct observation. So you are observing. So in the picture, we can see here that the two students are observing the plant. So the person who gathers the data is called the investigator, while the person being observed is called the subject. So here, the subject is the plant, and the investigator are the two students. This method is used by the psychologists, sociologists, and psychiatrists. Or let's say, for example, your doctors. So if you are admitted in the hospital, the doctors are actually observing you. Okay? So the doctor are the investigators. So what is an example for this? In the time of pandemic, researchers obtain data by observing behaviors of the patient. And the fourth method of collecting data is the use of documents. Okay, so we have here the folders, the statistics. So the researchers here make use of existing records or documents available in both private and government offices. So what are the examples for this? You have to listen carefully. The first, in a school, guidance counselors keep anecdotal records, or your advisors keep anecdotal records. So these are already part of collection of data. Okay? In history, we also have the historical data. Let's say, for example, the data or the history of Santa Ignacia. So we have here, kept records about the history of Santa Ignacia. So we can use them in collecting data. And of course, for the population, we can have the record of birth rates from the municipal offices or from the National or Philippine Statistics Authority. And the last part, or the last method of collecting of data, is the method of experimentation. So this is what we do in science. Almost the same with the observation method. So here, data needed to answer questions, queries may be obtained through a series of experiments. Scientific researchers like physicists and chemists make use of this method. So your experiments in your science subject is, or as you do your experiment, you are already collecting data. So an example for this is an experiment of trying different fertilizer to produce more rice. So again, let us summarize the different methods of collecting data. The first is using the interview method. Second is the questionnaire method. Third is the observation method. And fourth is the use of documents. And fifth is the method of experimentation. Now, we will now be moving on to the simple statistical instruments. So these are the instruments that we will be using if we are going to collect data. So what is a statistical instrument? A statistical instrument is any process that aims at describing a phenomena by using any instrument or device. However, the results may be used as a control tool. So what are examples of these statistical instruments? Listen carefully, dear learners. So we have the survey and questionnaire. Let us have first the survey. So survey, it is a process of gathering, sampling, analyzing, and interpreting data from a group of people. And survey question samples, we have here different survey question samples. The first one is very common to you, multiple choice in your exams. So multiple choice survey questions are questions that offer respondents a variety of different responses to choose from. And of course, we have the different types of multiple choice question samples. The first one is a single answer. What you are doing or what you have during your exam is an example of single answer. So when we say single answer, multiple choice questions, we only allow respondents to select one answer from a list of options. So in our example here, the question is, what learning modality do you prefer during the pandemic? So you have to choose only one, okay? So whether it is distance modular learning, online learning, or blended learning. This is an example of single answer type of multiple choice. The other type of multiple choice is the multiple answer. So when we say multiple answer, this allows respondents to select all responses that apply from a list of options. So here you can choose more than one answer. Okay, that's why it is called multiple answer. So the example is, which of the following resources are available in your home for online learning? So the choices are cell phone, tablet, iPad, laptop, desktop computer, Wi-Fi connection, and mobile data connection. So here in this question, the respondent can answer more. Why? Because one respondent can have a cell phone at the same time, he or she can also have a laptop. So she will be checking these two. Okay? So those are the types of multiple choice questions, the single answer and the multiple answer. The second statistical instrument is the rating scale. So rating scale questions, also known as the ordinal questions, ask respondents to rate something on a numerical scale assigned to sentiment. So we have here an example. So you are going to, or how do you recommend the brand of your cell phone to your classmates? So all you have to do is to rate it 1 to 5, 5 being the best and 1 the worst. So you'll just choose from these numbers. The third statistical instrument that you can use when you are collecting data is the Likert Scale. Likert Scale is a survey question. Evaluate if a respondent agrees or disagrees with the question. This is an example of Likert Scale. Okay, this one. So as you can see, the choices are very happy, happy, neutral, not very happy, and not at all happy. All you have to do is to shade which one satisfies the performance of your classmates' presentation. Next is the ranking. Ranking survey questions ask respondents to rank a variety of different answers options in terms of relative priority or importance to them. Or in ranking, all you have to do is to choose or to rate the given options from 1 to n. Okay? An example here is this one. You have to rank the following subjects in order of preference, 1 being your favorite and 8 being your least favorite. So how do we do this? All you have to do is to number or put numbers in the boxes, and then based on which subject is your favorite. Okay? So let's say for example my favorite subject is math. So I'll be putting here 1 until, so I'll be putting it here 1. Let's say for example my second favorite subject is English 2. Let's say for example MAPE is 3, then 4, until you reach 8, okay? Until you rate them all. 5, 6, 7, and 8. This is just an example, okay? And so these are the types of survey statistical instruments. Again, the types of survey statistical instruments are multiple choice, rating scale, Likert scale, and ranking. Now let us have the questionnaire. So when we say questionnaire, it is a series of questions that are asked to your respondents. It is simply one of the tools used to conduct survey. An example of a questionnaire is what you have or your learners enrollment and survey form that you answered before you entered grade 7. So these are examples of questionnaire. Okay, we also have this one as an example of questionnaire. So again, I hope that you have learned a lot today, especially when it comes to collecting of data. If you still have questions or clarifications, do not hesitate to ask your subject teachers. Once again, this is Catherine Bravo. Thank you for listening. Until next time, goodbye.